Welcome to this bi-weekly episode of Stacking Triggers. We're here to spike it out and have fun. I'm Bill.
And I'm not having fun anymore.
Oh no. Dan, why aren't you having fun anymore?
That's segment 2, really, but it has to do with me playing in the Modern Challenge today, and it did not go well, as you will see, because those videos are going up on the YouTube channel as my league for the week.
Oh boy. I'm excited to see how cranked it can be. I was debating on doing a challenge a couple weeks ago, but then you told me it's an all-day thing, and I was like, I have kids. I don't have all day.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like today started at 11 a.m. and round 7 of Swiss ended at 5:15ish. And then if you made top 8, it went till about like 8. So yeah, it's a forever event. Like it is like an actual RCQ where you go and it's like 10, 11 a.m. You do 7 rounds of Swiss if you want to go, and you just play all day. Now it's wonderful because you can do it from the comfort of your own home. So
that's nice, and they're frequent. Like they happen a couple times a month, from what I remember.
Every weekend. Every weekend has for Modern, I think 4 or at least 3.
Yeah, dang.
So yeah, you get like mini RCQs every week, 3 times a week at least.
Yeah, because they do some for the European crowd, they do some for our time zones, and then maybe one other time a day.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that sounds interesting, and I can't wait to hear about it. I finally got to go and play some in-person Magic. An LGS just opened up in my area, and it was their first Friday.
Nice.
So no official Wizards-supported play, but they had a bunch of Commander tables open. I got hated. I got hated out of the games because Daniel, I played Jolene, the Plundering Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, she was a 22-22.
Yeah. Bill, you're just describing the Dan Commander experience where I just do... No one does anything, and then I continue to do things, and people are like, that's the guy.
Yes, I am starting to see again why I stepped away from Commander. Because I thought I was playing, for our play group, these are the fair decks.
Yes.
And even my Baru Wormcaller deck was too much to go against a precon with.
Sure. I mean, yeah. That's why I have like the Necron precon that just exists, and it's like, this is my precon. It's a powerful precon. Like it's like top tier precon level, but like this is my precon.
Yeah, I was nervous. I also took my my Grixis Warhammer 40k deck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Chaos one, where I think everything has Cascade or something like that.
Yeah, if you do damage, it's Cascade for as much damage or life loss that turn or whatever.
Yeah, something weird like that. And I was like, no, this is a person who's only ever played Arena Brawl. I'm not going to bring this in.
Sure.
Yeah. But it was still fun. It was nice to go meet people actually in my community who play Magic instead of having to travel 30, 40 minutes away.
Yeah, that is true. That is like probably the worst part about your area is like there was an LGS there for the longest time, and then it was just like, COVID hit, we don't care anymore. Oh, cool, thanks.
Yeah, and then when I finally moved, they're still there. Still a great place to go get cards from, talk to people. But 2 weeks later, they announced they were going to retire. And closed up.
Mr. Nice Guy? Because that's what I'm talking about. Because Mr. Nice Guy shut down during the Panini, and then they were just like, fuck it, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, so, I don't know. At least I got to play some Commander. But actually, speaking of Commander, there was some sad news announced yesterday. Sean from basically the father of Commander. I forget his last name, and I apologize. I'm a
Say
terrible
Sean?
person.
His name's Sheldon.
Sheldon.
Say it. Bye.
I will commit
Sheldon.
seppuku.
It's Sheldon Menery.
Sheldon Menery, the father of Commander. I see his face. His name escapes me all the time, but he did pass away yesterday, and for that we are saddened, because we know he was a big pillar in the community.
Yeah,
as for bringing new players on board too.
Yeah, I mean, Commander is the most popular format in Magic the Gathering right now, and it's pretty much his idea that came up with it, or like he is one of like the original players of that format. So, Magic the Gathering, for better or worse, would not be what it is today without Sheldon Menery.
Yep. So that rest in peace. Going forward, though, just to give everybody a little recap what's going on, we're going to talk about Dan's challenge in a little bit, some Wild of Eldraine cards, probably with a modern focus, and Dan has some schooling to give me around pre-game knowledge. Also, one final announcement here before we kind of get into things. This is September. We're going to do September. We are trying to reach 100 subscribers this month. So please, on the 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
So please, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Dan and I post videos every weekday of us trying to spike it out. With that, Dan, let's hear more about your challenge.
Okay. So I messaged you last night, and I was like, all right, I think I'm going to play this 9 p.m. challenge. And like 8:30 rolls around, I'm like, I'm feeling kind of tired. I don't know if I want to play this. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll play the 11 a.m. on Saturday challenge. It was the Modern Challenge 96, which is like prizing up to 96th place. And it's actually, if there were as many people as there were who signed up for it, because there was 104 people who signed up for the event, up to 96th place got prizing. Now, of course, 96 through 65 through 96 got 100 play points. 33rd through 64 got 200 play points, and then top 32 gets like qualifier points, additional like their money back in play points, and I think a treasure chest, and then it ups from there. So, like in terms of return on investment, or like, hey, I want to be able to play a league with the 300 play points that I did after this. Just win like 2 games, just win like 2 matches, and you're good. You're set.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. I won 2 whole matches. I played all 7 rounds of Swiss with Blue-Red Murktide, with the list I played last week with some slight updates. I put Brazen Borrow in the sideboard and a Force of Negation in the sideboard. I felt like I was missing both. No, that's not true. I played Scam once and brought in Brazen Borrower once. And it wasn't like they never had turn 0 Leyline of the Void, which was the whole point of Brazen Borrower in the first place. Like it exists for no other reason than to bounce a turn 1 Leyline of the Void. So it's like,
that stinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like not what I wanted to see. So yes, I won 2 matches. One of the matches was a bye. So I won one of the match. It was against the Scam player. And I'm not going to go round by round. I played Breach in round 1, and I felt like the first game was super, super close. And I forgot that Grinding Station gives them the ability to sacrifice Ring.
Oh, yeah.
So they got down to their last card. They had Emery on the battlefield. They tapped it. They went Aether Spellbomb to bounce the Thassa's Oracle they played much earlier in the game. And I had no counterspell and no lightning bolt. I lightning bolted them in response, like right before the ring would have killed them. They sacrificed it with Grinding Station. So I was like, oh, so there's just 1 life. Give me a bolt. And it was like 3 turns. I'm like, give me a bolt, because they just kept like replaying ring over and over again with,
yeah.
Good loop.
Great loop.
Great loop, some might say. And I ditched the counterspell because I was like, fuck it, I don't think I need this. But if I countered the Aether Spellbomb, Or no, I probably wouldn't have countered. I probably should not have countered the Aether Spellbomb. It probably would have been the Thassa's Oracle that I would have countered. But like, had I done that, I just would have won because I think there were one card left in the library, and I don't think it was an Underworld Breach because I think they had already milled 3 and they exiled 1, so it was just and then I lost from there, and then it just kind of kept snowballing where I kind of made small little misplays throughout the rest of the day. It took me till match 3 to win a game, which was against Jeskai Stoneblade. Boy. Sword of Fire and Ice, really good against Murktide. Don't know if you know that.
What does Fire and Ice do again? That does that's protection. Oh, protection from red and blue. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then it deals damage, and whenever you deal combat damage, you can deal 2 damage to anything, and then draw a card. So,
fantastic card.
Love that. I love that for me. And then, so I get my bye, and then I'm playing. I think it was round 5. Against the scam player. And this person was very obviously double queuing. They are also 1 and 3.
Yeah.
And I'm just mad the whole time. Like you'll see in the video, I'm pissed the whole time. Cuz it's just
mad?
What are you doing? Like you're just wasting, like you're 1 and 3 and you're double queuing another event. Just drop this event. Like you've already, like, if you really think you're going to get there, go for it. But like, at least show me a little bit of respect when you're 1 and 3.
Right.
Like, and I know like there are going to be people who come out and be like, oh, you're just being so like, no, they were taking forever. And you can say, oh, somebody using all their clock on all their plays. And it's like, okay, but I'd like disassociate very easily. So like when they decide they want to start playing, it's like, okay, now I have to remember what like game state this is in, and it's just like it's very difficult for me to even play this. It's why I hate double queuing. It's probably the one thing that I wish that Daybreak could get rid of with Magic the Gathering Online. Mm-hmm. But okay,
I agree. I think I've ran across that a couple times myself, where it just takes the person way entirely too long to make a land drop pass.
Right.
Now, like, I understand if that's what they're going to do. Like, they had to go to get something from the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
Like, or whatever. That's fine. But if it's every single point where they could, like, respond to you,
yeah,
that's annoying.
It is. And, like, I almost want to keep the whole fucking video, like, not even make a single cut, just to show you, like, how often it is that this person just leaves.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating. They lost because they went to time. Like they were at like 1 minute on the clock. And I was like, I do not win any other way than just stalling you out. Cause they had like 3 minutes left on the clock for game 3. And it's like, okay, you're just taking forever on the clock. You're at under a minute. They conceded at a minute because they were like, I'm just not winning this game. It's like, correct. I'm preventing you from winning this game before your clock runs out. That's the exact hand I kept. I was like, you can't beat me in 3 minutes. You can't. There's just no way.
Wow. All right. Yeah. So was that your last game?
This was round 5. Okay. And it was at that point where I messaged you. I'm like, if I actually win out, I could actually get 200 play points out of this. Didn't win out. I forget what I played in round 6. That's not what matters. It's also in a video. It's like the last video too. But round 7 was where I tilted off the face of the earth.
Oh, no.
I'm so glad that I didn't record it because, like, that one YouTube commenter, too much crying in game 2.
Dan, like, you have too much crying.
Eat my fucking asshole, you piece of garbage. But so game 1, I win pretty convincingly. Like, I just had the better Murktide hand. Like, it's a Murktide mirror. I just had the better Murktide hand. I was on the play. So I'm just like, cool, Murktide does this sometimes.
Yeah.
Good thing it's against other Murktide deck. Just so happened. Game 2. I have them down to 1 life. I have been dashing Ragavans constantly.
Yeah.
Like we're trading spells. We're like it's a well played game. I'm just looking for them to dead draw and me be able to dash Ragavan one more time to kill them. And they have no cards in hand, mind you. They have 1 million lands, no cards in hand. I have a Ragavan and a land. I'm not playing the land because it's just like, I don't need to play this land ever. Like, this land doesn't matter.
Right.
They go top deck, preordain, get into expressive iteration. With the expressive iteration, rip Murktide Regent, Delirious DRC. And I'm just like, I fucking hate this game. Like, and then my top deck is land. And it's just like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Oh, man.
Like, what is this?
You just needed to top deck like one of their lightning bolts or something in that last, like with the Ragavan dash, like that turn before.
And it's like they have like 11 lands on the battle, or like they have maybe just under 10 lands on the battlefield as it is. And I hit another fetch land of theirs. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? How?
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing here? And then I hit a counter spell with one. It's like, this doesn't do anything because they have no cards in hand. And it's just like, what the fuck am I witnessing with this? What is this? What is this?
What is this?
And then I very convincingly lose game 3. And it's like, I just fucking lost my mind. I just started screaming for like 5 minutes of my life just about the game. I was so mad. Cause like, I think they had 1 expressive iteration left and maybe 2 preordains left, and they had 20 something cards left in their library. And it's like, yeah, that math sort of checks out, but it's just like,
damn.
What the fuck are you talking about? That you draw into preordained expressive iteration, 2 big threats that I have to answer, and unless I get an expressive iteration of my own, I don't answer.
Right. Oh, that sucks. That sucks so bad. I'm sorry. I can't wait to watch the gameplays though.
Oh, the Murktide match is not recorded.
I know. I wish you would have recorded it and just maybe done like a video or 2 that had like 2 matches in it, but that's fine. It's fine. I'm interested to see the ones you did record and kind of like what it's like, because I feel like we get to this point, and I've noticed like just in our weekly videos that we upload, we have gotten better.
Yeah,
we have. It's just when then we feel a little full of ourselves and we get a little boisterous and we do something like play a challenge and we're like, oh, maybe I'm not that good.
Well,
or maybe the variance is just bad.
Well, and that's something too. I'm so fucking sick of my variance being bad for everybody else's sins. Like what? Like I feel like I low roll for everybody. Like I feel like nobody low rolls against me, and like everybody high rolls and I low roll every time. It's crazy how bad my variance is. So
it's like it sucks too, because like you go and play paper and you get it in paper too. So I'm like,
yeah,
well, it's not just MTGO.
Like I played I played that 5-color creativity Titan Shift fucking deck. And it's just like, I should beat this 100 times out of 100 Murktide, and I lose like 2-1 to it. And I'm just like, I don't want to play this game anymore. So yeah. I think what it's come down to is I'm just not good enough at the micro decisions with Murktide. And I don't have the time with the modern season coming up. And technically we're actually in the modern season because we just had an Apex Gaming RCQ, Destination RCQ. This week, like it just finished before we recorded. Scam won, by the way.
Big surprise.
But beat Yawgmoth because it's supposed to. But like, we're in modern season starts. My first RCQ is on September 30th.
Wow, so, that is far away.
September 30th? That's like the end of the month.
Yeah, that's the end of the month. Yeah, there's at least 3 between me and the 30th.
Oh wow. Yeah, and fortunately none are next week for me because that's my brother's wedding, so I'm not even going to be around for that. But like,
you want to go to one in Coriopolis?
I would love to. Like, if I get pissed off enough at the wedding, which is likely to happen, considering that the bridesmaid is the maid of honor is just the worst.
Oh no!
I might be like, Bill, you got a modern deck to borrow?
Not a good one.
That's fine. But like, I'm off Murktide for now, and I know I've said that before, but the issue also is like it's the deck I have the most experience with going into the modern season, and it's just like, so what do I do? Because I'm sleeving up the mirror control, I have prowess ready, So
Yeah.
like I could play either of those, but I've never played Demir Control. Prowess I played one league with, and I felt like I did very poorly. But I also feel like it was my doing poorly. I went 0-4 with it at a fucking F&M. Like, so I don't know. I don't know if this is the season for me.
Maybe it's just not. Maybe it's just Murktide and you aren't clashing right now.
Which is weird because it's the deck that I feel like I should clash with or like mesh with the most.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I've been playing a lot. Like just this past week, I did a lot of Modern, but didn't really like record anything.
Yeah,
just to get a lot of experience with different decks. Try to put up quality videos because I feel like Green White Auras was okay. It didn't, everybody here didn't seem to really clash with it on the YouTube channel, but that's fine.
Well, it's because like it doesn't offer interesting gameplay. It's just kind of like, do you draw the creature?
That's
Okay.
true.
Do you draw the enchantment that goes with the creature? Okay. Do you
there's not many decisions.
Damage? Okay, that's it. That's Bogles.
I do like it because there's not a lot of decisions, but because of that, though, there's also like it's weak to a lot of things as well, though.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll talk more Modern as the RCQ season progresses. But Dan, actually, we're going to talk about some more Modern, but just in relation to the new cards from Wilds of Eldraine. We're kind of looking at these from the lens of Modern. Yes. Maybe one card from the lens of Legacy. But yeah, let's kind of jump in and talk about the new set, the hotness that just dropped last week.
Pre-release was last week. It technically released this week. Wizards did this weird thing where they were like, on pre-release, this is modern. These are playable now. These are legal in every format that they can be played in. And It's like, okay, well then that's the release.
Yeah, I agree. 100% that's the release because if you have the card, you can play the card is basically the rule. But yeah, so one card that I've really liked, and you're kind of so-so on it, but it's being put into Yawgmoth, is Agatha's Soul Cauldron. It's a 2-mana enchantment, and it's legendary. Artifact, yes, enchantment artifact. A thing that's not a creature or land. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate for abilities of creatures you control. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have all activated abilities of all creatures that have been exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. You tap it, and you will exile a creature or exile target card from a graveyard, not just yours, not just creatures. When a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. So this is fantastic in Yawgmoth.
Yes.
Because it just slots right in with really no additional tweaks to the deck.
For the most part, yes. Obviously, it's a deck you don't want to be playing like a ton of non-creatures in. Like the big non-creature in the deck is Court of Calling, and that's because it can get every other fucking card in the deck. It
right.
Can get Yawgmoth, it can get it can get Grist. Like the most important part is that it can get Grist.
Right. Well, not only can Court of Calling get Grist, but Grist can be Agatha'd.
Yes.
And it counts as a creature because when it's not on the battlefield, it is a creature. It is a 1/1 insect, which means then when you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, that creature has all the activated abilities of Grist, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, it causes some issues. I mean, obviously, like, I don't know if a creature is ever going to get to 5 loyalty to ultimate to, deal millions of damage with the Grist ultimate, but like the +1 to mill is relevant. The -2 to sacrifice a creature to force your opponent to sacrifice something, that's relevant.
Yep.
So like, yeah, I see it. It's taken the place of seemingly, but I'm not like up to date on my Yawgmoth deck, so I don't know for sure. But it seems like it's taken the place of the One Ring. Like the One Ring has come out of the
Mhm.
Yawgmoth decks, and
Mhm.
Agatha's Soul Cauldron has slotted back in, or slotted in over that.
Yeah. Also, it really enables Yawgmoth from anywhere
Mhm.
except exile, right? So now the only way to deal with these, like when Yawgmoth comes down, is to exile it or to make sure that they don't have the cauldron in play.
Yes. But like,
Yeah.
if you're a deck, you're not really bringing in artifact hate for Yawgmoth. Like, red decks might
Right.
have Cast into the Fire, and they might be bringing it into like 2-for-1 you with like a Cast in the Fire killing like an Orcish Bowmaster and like
Right.
a Dryad Arbor or something. Like, I don't feel like anybody's gonna be like, oh yes, I would love to Cast in the Fire this Agatha Soul Cauldron. Like, this is what I'm really bringing this in for.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a fantastic addition. I don't know of any other decks that are using it right now, but I think it's fantastic for Yawgmoth. I played against it once or twice. I just started laughing hysterically once I understood what was happening.
Is Walking Ballista's remove a +1/+1 counter an activated
That
ability?
is an activated ability.
So I
Yes.
wouldn't be surprised to see Hardened Scales playing it.
Actually, you're right. It is in hardened scales now because it's not just that, but it's the bug, the bug creature thing from Modern
Zabaz.
Horizons 2, Zaba or Zabu or
Zabaz.
Zabaz. That's it. Yeah, his activated abilities are in play now as well. And yeah, I think those are the two big ones. But yeah, and everything gets counters, so they automatically
Right.
have the abilities as soon as that hits the ground. So
Right. So yeah, you like if you were like, okay, I just want to like, oh, I have a Walking Ballista randomly in my graveyard. All right, everything's a Walking Ballista now.
yeah, yeah. Especially if you've had like a Patchwork Automaton in play for a while, and
Yeah.
it's gotten a lot of counters on it. You could. It's easy to just gun down an entire field and not sacrifice your creature at the end. Yeah, that's Ekith's Soul Cauldron. Dan, do you have the card that you've been seeing making
Oh,
waves?
it's up the beanstalk. Like that card in and of itself has revitalized the 4-color variant. The 4-color Allmath variant that you sometimes see that fell out of favor a little bit because it didn't do well at the Pro Tour. But it's basically green, one and a green for an enchantment that says when up the beanstalk enters the battlefield, and when you cast a card of mana value 5 or more, draw a card. So
Yeah.
what's good about that in the 4-color Yawgmoth deck is that you can play up the beanstalk, your Leyline Bindings trigger it, your Evoke Solitudes and Furies trigger it.
Yep.
Your Lorien Revealed, if you ever choose to cast that, you now draw 4 cards. It's happened. I'm sure somebody's already done it where somebody's already, Lorien Revealed with Up the Beanstalk or like multiple Up the Beanstalks because they get better as you put more on the battlefield. So I'm sure that's happened.
Yeah.
Also, Commandeer works because that's a 7-mana card. This is a 7-mana card. You pitch 2 blue cards. You take
Oh no,
a
yeah,
creature
you're
spell from
right.
your opponent. So that triggers it too. So like it's definitely made that deck a lot more consistent. And it's a deck you're gonna have to look out for because I feel it's a very expensive deck. So I feel like the people who owned it already were already playing it still, and
Yep.
now it's got a buff. So now you have to worry about that. It's too good of a value engine, and I don't feel like there's enough enchantment hate in a lot of decks to get rid of it. Now there are of course like your blue decks can play Spell Pierce or Counterspell with it, or they can force a negation it or whatever. But the point is like if that thing hits the battlefield, does your deck do something to deal with it? If not, you are likely in trouble because your opponent is just gonna like 3-for-1 you, or like think about this. If you played like a creature and your opponent went Evoke Solitude, pitching a card, they
Yeah.
went -1 on card advantage to deal with your card. Well, now with the evoke, that draws them a card, or
Yep.
up to we'll pretend one's on the battlefield. They now draw a card, so now they go card even.
Yep.
For a free card. So
Yep.
that is what makes the card very good. Is that at any like your opponent, even if they have up the beanstalk on the battlefield, and that's what they tapped out for, and you go big threat, and they just go, all right, here's a solitude. Oh, I draw a card. Hooray. Like, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you were talking about 4-color Omnath. I just thought this might also be a good card in the domain decks as well.
I've heard that.
Because thinking about it, right? Like the Scions and stuff that they play, their cost gets reduced, but it's still like a 12 mana card, right?
Yes.
So that would still trigger your up the beanstalk. I'm actually trying to find a domain deck right now, see if they've added it to the list recently.
I'm going to say no, because I feel like Scion of Draco is the only card that is played that is above 4 mana.
You are actually right. I'm looking at it right now. Well, they also play Leyline of the Void.
Leyline of the Void?
Or Binding. Sorry,
yeah.
Void.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So,
yeah.
8 cards that you're getting value out of for a card you're putting 4 of in your deck.
Yeah, it's probably not great. Yeah, it's an idea. I don't know. It's like one of the first things I thought of about this. Actually, there was just one in the Modern League yesterday. Let's see. Oh, it's actually literally just the deck I'm looking at. Never mind. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I think it's a fun card. Probably going to see a lot more play maybe in Commander. I don't.
Commander's a good one for it. The other card the other format that I could see it being really good in is Standard. There's that Atraxa deck. That like I remember it at like in Pro Tour, whatever that was, where like somebody went like Topiary Stomper, which I might be 5 mana. I don't remember.
Three.
No. Topiary Stomper, I think it's much more mana than that.
Is it?
I don't. It's from New Capenna. I don't remember its exact mana cost, but I feel like it's up there. It might be 4, in which case that might be wrong.
Hold on, I'm looking for it. I am like 90% sure it's a 3-drop.
It might be because it doesn't.
Yeah, it's a 3-drop, and then as soon as you hit 4 lands,
okay.
Is it? Wait, hold on. 7 lands.
7 lands. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They can start doing things when you hit 7
it's
lands.
It's the herd migration, and then that Topiary Stomper gets out enough lands so you can play Atraxa and then do your Atraxa stuff. So actually, the deck I could see this go into is Enigmatic Fires and Pioneer.
Yep, that's a good one.
Because that deck plays a lot of 5-drops because they're they're looking for what is it? It's like you can only play like 2 spells a turn or something like that, and it's like the number of lands you have on the battlefield. You can play one for free if it's like the number of lands you have on the battlefield or whatever.
Yeah,
that one plays like Elish Norn, Kenrith, some other stuff too. Like there's other stuff too, and like Enigmatic Fires. With the Enigmatic Incarnation, you can sacrifice like a Leyline Bind to get an Atraxa. Although that's not a cast, so like. It would just be the Fires Invention deck that would likely see it, if anything.
Yeah, I recommend getting a copy soon. Actually, they're up to $1.75, or we just need to wait till it falls off.
Probably wait till it falls off. Probably by the release of this episode is when prices will start to drop a bit because product is being opened daily, and we're just after release.
Yeah, I'm seeing like lots of stuff hitting like 233. 233 seems to be the going rate right now.
That's fine.
Yeah.
For an uncommon, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially the way that Expressive Iteration was going as well.
Yeah, there's always one broken uncommon that works in every format, and this is it.
Perfect. I think the potentially one of the last cards we have here that I'm going to talk about next is Beseech the Mirror. Now, you and I had some thoughts about this card. I personally think it's being slept on right now in Modern, because I'm seeing it as a secondary copy of, it's any card, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Search your. Okay, so it's 1/3 black sorcery bargain. Search your library. Search your library for a card. Exile it face down, then shuffle. If this was bargained, you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. If that spell mana value is 4 or if that spell's mana value is 4 or less, put the exile card into your hand if it wasn't cast this way. So, bargain means you sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast the spell. So it's an additional cost that gives you an additional benefit. This is, I think, just a secondary copy of whatever 4-drop you want in your deck that has black. So Sheldred, it could be the One Ring. Isn't there is it 4 or less?
It's 4 or less.
So it could also be a Liliana. Anything that you need to, in a black deck. I think it'd be black coffers that would the black coffers that would play this the most. Is my thought.
But go look at a black coffers list and tell me where you see Liliana of the Veil in there.
Well, I was also thinking in Pioneer too, right?
I don't think you're playing with some Pioneer.
You don't think you're playing in Pioneer?
No.
Even not in the Waste Not deck where you're potentially making zombie tokens?
Maybe. It might be. Yeah. The Waste Not decks, yeah, but so here's my issue. Of the cards that are of the package that I've told you about that I feel is currently the best package in the format, which is, it's an expensive package, but it's a very good package. Orcish Bowmaster, Sheldred of the Apocalypse, and the One Ring. All right?
Yep.
So those are the best. To me, those, if you have a core built around those 3 cards in 4 ofs, you're probably off to a good start in your deck. You need to sacrifice from that package either the Orc token or the One Ring. And I feel like if you're sacrificing the One Ring to do that, to make this play, you were already losing. I feel like this is more of a win more card in those specific shells where the only token you're seeing is the Orc and the only artifact you're seeing is the One Ring. I don't feel like this fits in many other shells. Now, the one shell I actually could see is if somebody goes and decides to adapt Rakdos midrange, no scam, but a fair Rakdos midrange a la Pioneer, and puts, Beseech the Mirror into that, because, I don't know, you play
you got the Fable tokens.
You got Fable tokens.
Fable
you got
itself.
Blood tokens.
Well, yeah, Fable itself as well.
Fable itself. So yeah, then you can go Beseech the Mirror into Sheldred or in Pioneer. So maybe you could see 1 or 2 copies of that in that deck. But in Modern, there are very few decks that give you either tokens, artifacts, or enchantments that you're looking to sacrifice for this card at 4 mana.
Mono black affinity with Sheldred.
I mean, yeah.
I'm memeing. It's okay.
Oh, I know. But Scam's the only other one that makes tokens, because it has the Goblin Shaman. The Goblin Shaman makes a treasure. It has the Fable Mirror Breaker. It has the Wicked Roll now, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Those are it. And I would rather have all of those and not play a 4 mana card on that hyper aggressive curve. Just leave it alone. The deck that Beseech the Mirror wants to be in Modern probably hasn't been discovered yet, or it's a combination of the coffers and Waste Not, and you just slam it together.
All right, there is one other format we haven't touched on.
Yes,
where this is actually a pretty hyped card.
Yes.
And that's Legacy.
Yes.
Because with Beseech the Mirror, it is essentially it's another copy of Tendrils of Agony. So it's a Black Storm deck. And so what you can do with Beseech the Mirror is you can open up the game with 4 mana, 3 of which are black. You can cast it. I think it's a swamp, a dark ritual, a lotus petal, and then you Beseech the Mirror to go get and cast Gaia's Will, which is a Modern Horizons 2 suspend card that allows you to play cards from your graveyard. I believe I can't remember if it's at no cost or not. I think it's no cost. And then you cast everything again, and you go and get Tendrils of Agony with your second cast of Beseech the Mirror, and it kills your opponent on turn 1.
So what are you sacrificing?
The Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal's an artifact.
Yes, but I still only see 3 mana. Because you have Swamp, you have Swamp, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual.
Beseech the Mirror. Hold on. Let me look it up.
Wow,
I feel bad.
This might be right, but I'm only counting 3 mana. Because if you're sacrificing the Lotus Petal to it, you are losing 1 mana. Cast
I'm looking. There might also be. There's the deck breakdown. Beseech the Mirror. .c's. They also run Cabal Ritual and Chrome Mox, so it might be a Chrome Mox and another black card.
So you just need to luck sack into this. Got it.
Well, that's the turn. That's the turn 1, right? That's the turn 1.
Well, sure.
Yeah, but like if you could, okay, so say you don't get, you don't luck into it, you could still. There's still a ton of 0 drops as well in here. So maybe you Lotus Petal and then you Urza's you play Urza's Bauble and sack the Urza's Bauble or something, or sack a Lion's Eye Diamond.
Okay, that's reasonable. Okay,
there's also Cabal Ritual in here, to get an additional couple mana.
All right, I'll buy it.
Yeah,
I'll buy that for $1.
For $1. But yeah, so there is a way to turn 1 kill, and then also in that, just to verify Gaia's Will, until end of turn you may play lands and cast spells from your graveyard. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. So you are relying on being able to crack that Lotus Petal again, and basically your turn repeats halfway through.
Sure. So you're going... Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sure. It's Legacy. People find weird ways to break things. Shocker. Lotus Petal's at the center of it.
Fast mana broke the format.
Who can believe it? Fast mana breaks formats.
But yeah, that was the other thing that I saw. I might try to play that as a side thing, but I'll be sure to post videos if I do.
Sure.
All right, and I think we have one more card we wanted to talk about, Dan.
Yeah, it's not dead yet, not dead after all. It's the upgrade to the scam list. It just gives it Undying. It gives it Undying and then a Wicked Roll token. Like it's your Feign Death, your Undying Evil, your Undying Malice, except the card comes back untapped, so it's actually like you can't like respond with like a Dash Dragavan because it's just going to crash into it when you have a 4/3 Grief or a 4/4 Fury. A Wicked Roll token gives the creature a gives it +1/+1, and when the Wicked Roll hits the graveyard, your opponent loses a life. So this is just a win more scam deck.
Yes.
Or
card.
Right. Which
yeah.
is the problem. And I hate to say this. I
They've
think
printed
this card needs banned.
How many of these have they printed? Like these 1 black instant speed return creature from the graveyard this turn cards in the past 2 years.
In the past
It's
2 years?
at
Well, you got
least two or
to you got to
three or
include
four.
AFR. It's been like Jesus Christ, 3 years. AFR was the first one, and then Undying Malice was actually later that year. And then
New Capenna had one.
We've had like Supernatural Stamina. Undying Evils existed for the entire time, but like the reason why it never saw play was because it required like the Feign Death, Undying Malice always gave them a +1/+1 counter.
So this opens them up to do Undying Evil instead of the Feign Death.
Am I right about Not Dead Yet? Does it leave it untapped?
I had the card. Return to the battlefield tapped.
Oh, tapped? Okay. So
it's still tapped.
Thank God it's at least tapped.
Yeah.
Okay. But Undying Evil leaves them untapped.
Right, yeah.
Which like something I hate like okay. Hate's a strong word. I don't hate scam. But like, man, if I see this effect again in the next 5 years, I'm gonna be pissed.
That's the thing. They have printed this effect, I believe, every like once a half for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I'm so sick of seeing this effect. Like scam needs nothing, and I know these sets. Like every set doesn't kind of doesn't get planned out for a long time, and scam didn't get a big buff until Orcish Bowmasters hit, and it made it a tier 1 deck, and on the verge of it's not on the verge of tier 0 because it does have checks and balances in this format, but like it is probably the deck people hate playing against the most outside of like Mill or Burn. Like those are like evergreen decks that people always hate, but like scam is probably the highest power deck that everyone hates to play the most because it can just win games out of nowhere.
Yep.
So I'm so sick of seeing this effect. Okay, and I want to walk it back. I don't want to ban this card because I thought if it left it untapped, this card should be banned 100% of the time. Undying Evil being the card that leaves it, untapped, fine, whatever. Because like you can't really Undying Evil into Undying Evil because they have the +1/+1 counter.
Yeah. It's just insane.
So yeah, I'm not saying scam needs a like a nerf or something or like a ban or something, but like, boy, can we stop? This design, stop, please.
I would really appreciate if there was like a card that could go into every deck to turn one like F with scam, because like that is the worst feeling when you're bearing down the barrel of a 4/4 double strike.
You know what it actually technically it is, and boy, this would be stupid if we went back to this format. Surgical Extraction. I think Surgical Extraction can hit creatures.
I have a playset from Double Masters.
Let me double check on Surgical Extraction.
I think it's any card.
Choose target card in a graveyard other than a basic land. Yep. So, yeah, like if your opponent Fury scams, you could just go, okay,
pay 2 life.
Pay 2 life. Here, goodbye to your Fury. I'm not saying we should be at this point in the format.
Dan, we're at this point.
But we might be at this point in the format.
Dan, we're at this point. It's going to happen.
Surgical Extraction's so fucking bad. Oh my god.
Nope. So I think I'm playing Jund this week, and I'm just going to throw it in, even though it's not on the deck list.
That's fine.
I'm going to throw it main board because you know what? I don't think it's a bad card.
The issue with Surgical Extraction is it's a -1. Like you're not like obviously with scam, you're affecting the board in the sense that you're removing their scammed out card.
That's
But
true.
like, oh, they don't draw for it. Okay, well then fuck that then, because you're just neg wanting to remove like a very important piece. Like it could be a fury, it could be a grief or whatever. You're
Or
just
say I'm
neg wanting
against
to do it.
Murktide. They're tapped out. They've already forced a negation once, and I don't want to get hit with force of negation again.
Sure. Or, exile the Murktide and be like, I just win. You don't beat this card. You can't beat me without this card, which is true. They can't.
Right. So Dan, I have a playset. I'm going to start running it in absolutely everything because it's Phyrexian mana.
Yeah, I'm worried a little bit. All right, let's move on to the final segment, which is Bill, my brother in Christ. Please learn decks and land bases and companions so you can understand what you're playing, because you played against Amulet Titan last week in a video and they went like forest into Urza Saga and played Explore, and you're like, is this the Jund deck? And I'm just like screaming at my monitors, be like, it's not fucking Jund, it's Titan. Like it's so Titan.
Is this a Magic card?
Like I wanted to be like, you just called out things and it's like, nope, it's not even remotely close to this. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh God.
Like,
Dan, when I record, it's typically super late at night.
I'm sure.
So I don't have my wits about me. That's why I play things that are easier, like burn. Go face.
Sure, but like, I watched the video and I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, that's not even remotely a thing. Like, you see it in my videos, and sometimes I'm wrong, and I recognize when I'm wrong. Like, there was the Gruul mid-range deck that I was playing against. Like,
that was a weird one.
Like they go turn one, taps Stomping Ground. I'm like, it's Jund, and it's like, no, it's cool. Okay, but like, for the most part, like when I call something, I'm just like, yep, this is it. And that kind of changes and influences how I decide to play the deck. Like, and you can tell a lot based off of the first land a deck plays. And also, you can tell a lot by the companion. So we're going to start with companions, and we're only going to go over companions. I'm not going to go over land plays.
Okay.
But,
all right. Teach me, Sensei.
So there are 4 companions that see any kind of real play in the modern format. Jegantha is by far the most popular deck, or the most popular companion, because it is probably the one with the easiest amount of restrictions to behold.
I think it's no double pip colors.
No double pips. So what a Jegantha tells you is they're on certain decks. So I've seen Tron, certain Death Shadows list, and if they're on Death Shadow, they don't have Murktide. Prowess, Jund.
Yep.
Those are the big 4 that I've seen that run Jegantha. Now, of course, the Gruul mid-range deck, I'm pretty sure also ran it. I'm like, no, because it's Season Pyromancer in the main, so they couldn't run it. So, if you see Jegantha, just know you are not playing against any Evoke Elementals at all. They're all double pipped, so you can't be playing against those.
That makes me feel good. Then
You can't be playing against Murktide. You can't be playing against Dismember. So if you're playing against Tron and they have Jegantha, they don't have Dismember.
Okay. That's good to know. Thanks, Jegantha.
It's harder to parse out what they're playing. Like, you have to know what they're playing. Like, you'll know what they're playing when they play their land. But whenever you see Jegantha, it's just like, all right, I know no evokes. Like, I'm never getting evoked. They have no free spells, because the other free spell is Force of Negation, and that's also double pipped. So they're not playing that either.
I think Force of Vigor is also
Force of actually. Yeah, Force of Vigor is the other one. I don't know of any other. Oh, and also the ley lines. The ley lines are all double pipped. So you're not playing against someone with ley lines.
So, but that's the thing, right? Since it is a companion, it does not have to be declared after sideboarding.
Correct.
If they put those in, right? So if you notice that is a thing that could happen.
Something. Yes. Yeah. So that is the thing to use. That's how to use Jegantha to your advantage. And if they do declare Jegantha in paper, and they put it and they play a double pip card that isn't like is theirs. You're
That's
just like
illegal.
judgy, double pip with Gigantha, can't do that.
Yep. Do you know how many times in paper I've played with Gigantha and forgot to declare Gigantha?
All the time. I'm sure like
Every
everyone
single
does
fucking
it.
time. Every single fucking time.
All right, next companion is Kahira. The reason I say Kahira is because it's very important. Because Kahira is the companion for the 4-color Omnath deck. If you see Kahira, you're playing 4-color Omnath, and they are not playing any creatures that aren't Omnath, Solitude, or Fury, or Endurance. Those are the creatures they're playing. Otherwise, like everything else is a control piece.
Huh.
So Counterspell, Leyline Binding, they could play Fire Ice if they want. I don't think they would, but they like, because Kahira says elementals and blah 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 blah, cats, dinosaurs, like stupid shit. But like they're playing the elementals. They're giving their elementals vigilance. That's where Up the Beanstalk is going to come into play.
Yep. There's a couple others though, other than like 4-color Omnath looks to be the most popular.
Yes.
But there's Jeskai Control, Azorius Control, and apparently some Saheeli combos run it as well.
Okay. So in that case, you're playing against a control deck. So just, aggro them out, outpace them in terms of their mana.
Okay.
Force them to use, play badly. And, go negative a lot in terms of card advantage. Next is Karuga, although this is likely going to drop off because of Up the Beanstalk. But Karuga was another card you could play with 4-color Omnath. With Karuga, you also see it in potentially Pioneer in the Fires of the Fires deck, but maybe not as much. In that deck, if you see Karuga as the companion, they have a lot of double-sided or two-face cards, so Fire Ice, Dead Gone, those kind of things. If you see that, you're playing against those kind of cards, so beware. But you're not going to see Counterspell, you're not going to see Spell Pierce, you're not going to see Delighted Halfling, anything like that. You're going to see cards that, do a lot and have mana values of 4, but they're not really 4. They're really 2.
I gotcha.
And finally, there's Lutri. The information you need to know about this deck is, boy, you can do nothing to prepare for this because every game is different.
Interesting. Yeah. So the last two, Karuga and Lutri, are actually not really showing up as meta decks in the in
Correct.
MTG Goldfish.
Correct.
So yeah, Lutri looks pretty popular in Vintage though.
Lutri is super fun because Lutri is just here's a bunch of singleton cards and lands, but here's a bunch of singleton cards. Go nuts.
Go nuts. Oh, I wonder if it could be used.
But yeah, Karuga is going to fall out of favor because of Up the Beanstalk and the amount of card advantage that gives over time to a 4-color Omnath deck. But yeah, if you see Kahira, it's a control deck. If you see Karuga, they haven't gotten their playset of Up the Beanstalk.
Nice. All right, Dan. Thank you for educating me. I will try to either not blurt out dumb things,
it's Jund.
It's Jund.
Forest
It's
Earth
Jund.
Saga.
It's a Jund. It's a Jund. It's a Jund. It's a Jund. I forget what that reference is.
It's a jackal. It's a jackal.
It's a jackal. It's a jackal. Forget where it came from. Anyways,
Family Guy.
You're right. Family Guy. Yeah. Thank you for teaching me, Dan. Hopefully we have another learning next show.
Probably. We'll go over lands.
We'll go over lands. Yes. We are at the end of the show today. I am really excited for this modern RCQ. But with that, though, it is September, and we are trying to hit 100 subscriptions on the YouTube channel. Please go over and subscribe, comment on our videos. Tell us what you would like to see. If you don't like green-white auras, let me know in the comments of those videos that, hey, green-white auras is boring. But yeah, really trying to push hard on that YouTube subscription this month. Dan, what do they got to do if they're listening to us on a podcast catcher?
Well, first off, don't if you don't like crying in videos, don't watch my videos. Don't because I get real salty real quick. It happens. Okay, people get upset. We're allowed to be salty every now and then, especially when things aren't going our way. It's okay. It happens. I'm trying to do better. It doesn't always work, but I'm trying. But on the podcast side, you can leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Good Pods if you like that circle jerk of an app. Subscribe to us on your podcast platform, like whatever it is. Like that'd be great because subscribers are great. Tell people that you subscribe to us and that we are a cool podcast and they should listen.
Perfect. And with that, Dan, I'm going to say to our listeners, our viewers, have a great night, evening, day, whenever you're listening to us, and spike on.
Stop crying.